I still remember the day the Sly Cooper movie teaser dropped. Despite not really vibing with the tone it was going for, even as a thin 11-year-old, I was undeniably excited. The OG Sly Cooper trilogy are my favorite games ever made. So of course, seeing my boy Sly getting a big feature-length movie adaptation was really exciting. And so after I got done watching that teaser in 2014, I decided to wait. And then I continued waiting, and waiting, and waiting, and waiting, and waiting. Suffice it to say, this movie never happened. Otherwise, this would be a radically different video than it is now. Us Sly fans have been desperate to receive anything. A remaster, a remake, a fifth game, and this movie is easily one of the most anticipated things that we have wanted, that we've been craving for. You don't just announce a Sly Cooper movie and not do anything with it. I mean, come on, give us a break. However, recently, we have been fed with the PS5 ports of the Sly Cooper trilogy becoming available to purchase. With how accessible these games have been made, this will lead to a lot of newer fans experiencing Sly Cooper and a lot more discussions centered around the franchise. And so I can't think of a better time to kind of reflect on the Sly Cooper movie, talk about its history, what it would have been like, and whether or not we might still see it one day. But before we begin, please be sure to leave a like if you do enjoy this video. It really helps me out in the algorithm, and be sure to subscribe for more Sly Cooper-esque content. With that, let's start talking. Many of you may be familiar with the production company that Sony started, PlayStation Productions. And if you're not, you are definitely knowledgeable of their work, which includes the live-action 2022 Uncharted movie, Twisted Metal, and the Last of Us series. It's clear Sony wants to take their catalog of PlayStation games and the groundbreaking stories included with that, and expand them to wider audiences via movie adaptations. Not only is it a very lucrative business venture, but it's sure to make a lot of fans happy. However, what some of you may not know is PlayStation Productions has been around for quite a long time, though back in 2015 it went by a different name, that being PlayStation Originals. This was Sony's first attempt to capitalize off of this idea that we can take a lot of the PlayStation exclusive stories and adapt them to feature-length films. In the movie that was going to kick off this big, successful cinematic universe, Sony's Iron Man to their PlayStation Originals was the 2016 Ratchet & Clank movie. The studio put in charge of this project were Rainmaker. And not only would they be handling the Ratchet & Clank movie, but directly after that they will be responsible for the Sly Cooper movie, which they announced shortly after the Ratchet & Clank movie was announced. And it also stands to reason, though it was never officially confirmed, that they would have also been handling a Jak and Daxter film, due to that being the third of the PlayStation 2 Three Horsemen, and the cheeky reference they included in the Ratchet & Clank film. So what happened? Well, as many of you know who are familiar with Ratchet & Clank, the 2016 movie was a giant bomb, both critically and commercially. This happened for many reasons. Ratchet & Clank not really being a IP many people are familiar with, the lack of marketing in some areas, and the overall quality of the film being rather poor to a lot of people. So with the Ratchet & Clank film being a total and complete failure, what was there left to do? Well, obviously, scrap the whole thing and try again in a few years' time, which unfortunately meant that the Sly Cooper movie would never come to be. It's worth pointing out that the film, till this day, has never been officially confirmed to have been cancelled. It technically got shelved, which meant that no one's working on it at the moment, but the project is still alive in some capacity. But I think we all kind of know that it's unofficially cancelled. Especially with Rainmaker no longer being a part of the scrapped PlayStation Originals plan and moving on to work in other areas. And when this happened, in 2019, there were massive leaks that were true of a Sly Cooper television series being produced. What's really interesting is that the people who worked on the Sonic Boom series, yep, even in other non-Sonic related videos, this blue hedgehog, I just can't escape him, we're going to be working on the Sly Cooper series as well. It was basically the same studio and the same writers. However, this also never happened, and while it's a little blurry on what the behind the scenes were, from what I heard, no network really wanted it due to it kind of being too mature for a lot of kids related programming. And like the film, it's never been officially cancelled, but I think we all know it's not happening anytime soon. And that is where the history of both the film and the show has left off. We've received no news, no updates on a potential Sly film being worked, nada. And this is upsetting for the reasons I stated earlier. I mean, us Sly fans have been really craving a return of the franchise, whatever form that comes in, whether it be movie, game, remakes. We really wanted something new. But one question we never asked ourselves is, while we want a Sly Cooper film, do we need one? What I'm getting at is whether the Sly film would have been really good to begin with. So let's start at the beginning. Why am I cynical about the idea, or at least the original idea of a Sly Cooper film, and why do I think it wouldn't have worked out well? There are multiple reasons, the main one being the director of the Ratchet & Clank film would have also been spearheading the Sly Cooper movie, which presumably means it would have had a lot of the same tone and writers on board. My feelings on a Ratchet & Clank film are complicated because I can look at it as a decent kids film, but as a Ratchet & Clank movie, it fails on pretty much every level. I mean, a lot of the characters just straight up get assassinated in this adaptation. A lot of the edge, themes, and tone of the games is just nowhere to be seen here. As an adaptation, it was really poor. So they can't get the Ratchet & Clank series right, a IP that a lot more people care about than Sly Cooper. How do we know if they would have gotten Sly Cooper right? Now, one thing we do have to work with is the teaser we received, which is basically marketing the film. And by extension, marketing the tone and feel of what the film would have contained. And let's just say it's not great. The animation looked phenomenal, but one thing that must be pointed out is this teaser has Sly Cooper Thieves in Time writing written all over it. You could tell that that game was Rainmaker's main inspiration behind how to proceed with the writing and style of the series. While Sly Cooper was very witty and jocular in the PS2 games, he wasn't Spider-Man, he wasn't a Wade Wilson. In Sly Cooper Thieves in Time, though, they took Sly's jocular nature and ramped it up to 100, and that's kind of the same vibe I got in the teaser as well. But that's not as bad as what they did to Murray. Murray in this teaser is straight from his Sly 4 counterpart, where they took his passion for food and ramped it up to 1,000,000, with him being the stereotypical fat guy who loves eating food and it's played up for laughs. It's just, Also the designs too. I like the design for Sly, but Bentley and Murray just look straight from Uncanny Valley. I do not like the way they looked at all. Which is weird because in the Ratchet & Clank film, the characters are pretty one-to-one with how they appeared in the game, but I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened with this teaser. But what about the show? The show would not have been handled by the people at Rainmaker. Would the show have promise? Well, the idea that it got cancelled because it couldn't find a suitable network because a bunch of networks declined it for being too mature, that is a good sign because that means that they were taking the show seriously. But on the other hand, it was also rumored to have the same kind of format Sonic Boom has, where it's a bunch of 52 11-minute episodes. And I don't know how you can tell a serialized, mature story in 52 11-minute episodes. Sly Cooper narratives have always had a lot of comedic elements to them, but you're supposed to be taking the plot and characters and stakes pretty seriously throughout, and I'm not sure if that was the tone that they were going for. Maybe the quote-unquote maturity that it got canceled over were probably stuff laying the jokes. Again, this is all speculation, but I'm not sure how better the TV series would have fared. So yeah, the odds of the Sly Cooper movie being a great adaptation are pretty slim given all the evidence we have to work with, but here's an interesting question. Could the movie still happen? At this moment in time, I see no reason why it couldn't theoretically. As mentioned earlier, PlayStation Productions, the new version of PlayStation Originals, is in full drive. A lot of their projects have been really successful, like Uncharted and The Last of Us. And there's no reason why Sly Cooper shouldn't be added to the list of adaptations they are making. There is a clear demand for it. A lot of the kids who grew up with these games are older now and are adults and will definitely be supporting the film in terms of monetary value. There's a lot of demand for this IP, so not making a Sly Cooper movie when you have this really successful PlayStation Productions company, it doesn't make any sense. And remember, Like I said, the movie was never technically officially canceled. It has been shelved this entire time, so what better time to revive the project? In my opinion, it just makes sense to greenlight the movie now, especially considering the PS5 ports of Sly Cooper were really successful, with a lot of PS Plus premium owners playing that for the most part and buying it too. Those were successes, and yeah, so Sony has gotten the memo that people care about this IP and want to see it return. But that's pretty much all we have to talk about. But now I'm interested in what you guys have to think. Do you still want the Sly Cooper movie to happen? If so, what would you want it to look like? Do you still want it in the same vein as the teaser, or would you appreciate if they did something differently, and if so, specify what that is? I love discussing stuff with you guys, and I'm pretty interested in what you guys' thoughts are on all of this. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please be sure to like if you enjoyed and subscribe for more content like this, and I will see you all later. Bye bye.